Well, hello, my friends. Welcome once again to Contact Radio, Spiritism, a closer look here, Luiz Lima, directly from Orlando, Florida. And in this program, we are going to take a closer look at what we call the errant state. The errant state. Well, of course, we need to define what it means and then, go through what has to do with the Spiritism. So first thing, what is the errant state? Errant state in Spiritism is it's well defined. It's the interval between two physical lives. So we have a physical life, we discarnate, then we incarnate again. That period between two physical lives is what we call the errant state. Spirits that are in the errant state, meaning between two physical lives, are sometimes called errant spirits. Errant spirits. So, however, by the way, not all discarnate spirits are errant. Errant spirits are the ones who are discarnate, waiting for the next incarnation, planning on it. We're going to explain that later. Pure spirits might have discarnated, but they don't have to wait for another life. So these are not errant spirits. So errant spirits are not pure. These are the ones waiting for another opportunity, waiting for another life. So the body dies and the spirit returns to the spiritual world. When that happens, the spirit retains individuality, and more than that, consciousness. So the spirit is going to have the opportunity to reflect on past existences, on the past existence, on previous experiences that he had to overcome and do and go through, fail or not. What was done right, what was done wrong, and why. Why did I do this right? Why did I do this wrong? All of these things is sort of a self-analysis at the end of the physical life. And not only that, as a consequence of understanding what happened in the life that was just left behind, comes preparation for future incarnations. Oh, I wasn't able to do this on that life. I failed, let's say, dramatically on this particular thing. I'm going to have to be ready at one point to, overcome that problem, whatever it is. So it helps the spirit. It signals the spirit. Here's your direction. You have to go this way because you need to offset some wrongdoing coming from the past life. So the question is, how long does a spirit stay in the errant state? Meaning, how long is that interval? Well, the Spirit's book tells us, very interesting by the way, it could be from a few hours to thousands of centuries. However, it's never forever. Not forever, because everyone will be perfect at one point. So this is not forever. However, it depends on the free will. It depends on the spirit's own will. All spirits have free will. So some spirits might just decide to lay back and say, I'm not going to do much now. That's free will. That's a choice. It might not be a very smart choice, but it is a choice. And nobody can interfere on that. No other spirit can interfere on that. So some spirits might choose to stay longer in the errant state. For example, to learn more, to feel like they are more prepared, for a next life, or even they are more prepared to prepare the next life. So it depends on the spirit. Again, it's free will. However, the errant state is not a state for inactivity. It's not. It's not. It's not something static, no. It's the other way around. It's an opportunity for progression, for learning, for adaptation, for anything and everything that can lead to improvement, as long as the spirit wants to take that opportunity. Again, free will. So, during the errant state, not all spirits experience the same way, because they all come from different past lives, different experiences, different relationships, and so everyone is at a different point in the scale of evolution. So no two spirits experience the same way. The experiences varies from spirit to spirit, depending on basically two things: the moral and the intellectual development of the spirit. So, for example, more evolved spirits, they experience clarity when they discarnate. They experience peace. They experience freedom when they discarnate. Less evolved spirits don't. They feel confusion. They feel a lot of suffering, very common suffering on a large scale. They feel that they are still attached to a material life, very common. So it's not the same, more because there is evolution, there's progress. So more advanced spirits experience one way, less advanced spirits see it another way. Low order spirits, for example, they retain all these earthly passions, even if they are no longer living on earth. They're discarnate, they're in errant state, but they still retain the same human passions. High order spirits will leave these passions behind, because that belonged to a past life. The past life is, as it says, past, done. Let's get over with. So, there are no two spirits experiencing the same thing. Now, during the interval, during the errant state, what is the spirit exactly doing? First of all, the spirits are not idle. They're not just sitting like this, no, there's nothing like this. The spirit will study, will seek and gain awareness of spiritual truth. It will acquire knowledge. It will assist incarnated spirits. Yes, they will assist. They will possibly form bonds with other spirits. They will choose or accept future trials in the next incarnation. What I mean by choose and accept is choose because you just analyzed what you did and you know what you need. So I need to do this and this and this better. But they will also accept suggestions, per se, from higher order spirits. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Maybe this is too tough for now. You got to do this later on. So they will accept, suggestions from higher order spirits. So the errant state is a time for planning and growth. No spirit is just sitting doing nothing. There is no such thing. Another thing that we need to bring in here is the idea of self-reflection. We as incarnate people, you can sit one day, take for example a Saturday, and decide to do it's going to be my day of self-reflection. That's fine, but we are still limited. When you are discarnate, when you are in the errant state, your memory is much more expanded than before. The ability that the spirit has to understand all these things is greater, much greater than when you're incarnated. So they have a better understanding. Spirits that are in errant states, they have a better understanding of their past lives. They see consequences of their actions more clearly that we here not necessarily are able to. So this awareness that the spirit gains and has helps guide future choices. However, the clarity, the ability to open up your eyes for a different world, seen from the spiritual side, may bring either joy or remorse, because certain things that it wasn't as a living spirit here on earth, incarnate, maybe you didn't think of this particular thing that you did, and now when you go to the errant state, you see it from a different angle, and it brings remorse. For example, oh my God, I did this and I shouldn't have. I would never imagine that it was going to be so bad, so complicated. So this analysis, this awareness, can bring both joy or remorse, depending on the past conduct. If you did good things, you might see things that are, oh my God, I didn't know what I did. It was so great. So it brings you joy. Another thing that we need to talk here is when the spirit starts preparing for a new incarnation. So it's a pick and choose, right? What am I going? I have a million things that I need to work on. I have an inventory of problems, an inventory of human passions that I have to work on. Which ones am I going to do now? Which ones am I going to choose? So there's a lot of planning. That's why we need guides, spiritual guides, to help us define and decide on the next life. So a central teaching is that spirits participate, at least in part, in choosing their next life. Rare are the cases where the spirit, the reincarnating spirit, is not allowed to make choices. Those are for very low order spirits. Low order spirits. All they do is bad things. They are evil spirits, as we say. In the first human incarnations, they are not given that choice because they don't have that ability. They can't see anything other than evil. So they have to be guided. They will be incarnating by, I'm not going to say accept, by following what high order spirits are telling that spirit to do. So, but for the most part, the incarnating spirit, in preparation for a new incarnation, it does participate in the choices. And that spirit may select challenges to promote growth. That would be the ideal. I wasn't very good at, envy. So I need to do something that's going to help me overcome envy, and so and so and so. So it's a choice. Now, the spirits are going to understand the trials that we have to go through. They're not punishments. They're not punishments. They're stepping stones. They're opportunity for improvement. So it is easier to perceive that, to realize that, when you are in the errant state than when you are incarnate. And this new concept or idea around punishment and the opportunity for improvement, the stepping stone, this reinforces the spiritist view of life. Spiritist view of life. Life is a continuous, progressive educational process. It never ends. We're going to be learning and learning and learning, always. So you won't stop until we become pure spirits and reach perfection. Now, some interesting things for the living spirits, for us, right? Knowing all of this, studying all of this, getting knowledge about all of this, makes us, or at least it should make us understand that the errant state should lead us to some practical reflections. First, life continues after death. There's continuity. So life continues after that. Second, we can shape our future based on our actions. If we do something good now, we're shaping the future one way. If we are evil now, doing evil things, we are shaping the future differently. So the outcome on future experiences depends on the present actions. The third thing, personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. We cannot outsource responsibility. If we did something wrong, we're going to have to offset that somehow, someday. Not necessarily now, not necessarily next week, or even next life. It's going to have to be offset because the creation works on balance, all balance. Everything tends to be in balance. You do evil here, you're going to have to do something better there. For example, let's say you killed a lot of people in this incarnation, or even one person. So you took lives. On the next incarnation, you're going to offset by saving lives. Not necessarily you need to be killed on the next incarnation so you can see how it is. No, that doesn't bring any gain. That doesn't bring balance. That makes two wrongs. So you took lives now. On your next life, maybe next lives, you're going to save lives. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a nurse. You're going to work with small orphan children. Something that will offset what you did. Responsibility is personal. We have to offset. I don't like to use the word pay, although sometimes you do. You did this, you're going to pay for it. Because pay gives this general idea of using the same method. So that would, like I said, if you kill somebody, would you expect to get killed next life? That would be two wrongs. It doesn't put things in balance. Put things in balance is saving lives. And another thing about the moral implications for us, the living, spiritual progress is gradual and ongoing. I cannot expect that, for example, I will discarnate, plan on my next life, and this is my plan. I'm going to be a Jesus-like figure, a pure spirit. It's not going to happen. It's a gradual, it's a progressive journey. So let's try to wrap up things here a little bit. Number one, the errant state is not a void. Actually it's the other way around. It's not eternal rest. It's not eternal rest. It's a very active, very dynamic stage of existence where the soul continues to evolve. There's no physical body, but the soul continues to evolve. How? Learning and experiencing in terms of reflection, what was done. Reflect upon what was done. So I did this thing that was not good. So you already learned by then that it's not good. Correcting is the next step, but that gives you, per se, material to prepare a next incarnation, a next life. So this material, what we need to get ready for next life, in preparation for it, it will come from reflecting upon what we did. So when you look at the overall picture, death simply demarks a transition. The spirit is still the same spirit. The spirit doesn't die. What dies is the body. So the journey of the spirit remains uninterrupted. It's an ongoing thing. After analyzing and looking at all the past experiences, then the spirit is going to be in a position to kind of prepare for next life. But before that, you have to do the inventory of good things and bad things. So you know where you need to go. Okay, this particular situation here, things, let's just say, things, for example, like envy, I'm completely taken care of. I don't need to work on that anymore. I'm 0% an envy person right now. Okay, so go to the next thing. So you only come from us, from the discarnate spirit, performing an inventory of things that were done right, things that were done wrong. So this short words here describes the idea behind the errant state. We are all going to be there sooner or later, many times, as we have been already. It is a necessary step. Like I said, death demarks a transition. That's all it is. And birth demarks another transition. As spirits, we are one and continuously progressing. At times here on earth incarnate, at times discarnate. What we learn as discarnate errant spirits are going to be put in practice here in the form of trials and expiations. And that will, so for example, going back to what I said a few minutes ago, say I killed lives. So now I'm in errant state and I understand, I shouldn't have done that. So the next thing is plan a life that, plan an incarnation that offsets that. So I'm going to be a nurse, for example. But not only that, I have to stop killing. There's no point in becoming a nurse and keep killing people on the next life. So the practice of what was learned as an errant spirit will only happen when we are here, incarnate. That's why we need to incarnate after every discarnation. After being errant spirit, we come back to make sure that we learn the lesson as errant spirits, and we're going to undergo trials and expiations. And that's how we evolve. That's how we get better and better and better as we go on this journey towards perfection. Thank you very much for participating with us tonight. And don't forget, right here on Kardec Radio, we video stream Spiritism, A Closer Look, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much. Be well.